Okay, hey everybody, welcome to Virtual Builder Town Hall, May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo style. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope all of you are doing great. I think you're busier. I think you are selling some homes. I think that you are doing well because it's quieted down a little bit in our Virtual Builder Town Hall Facebook group. I really do encourage you to participate there. Want to hear from you, and you can ask questions. You can celebrate, share a celebration for yourself or your team. You can acknowledge or give a shout out to somebody else. Whatever, we want to hear from you. So please feel free to post anytime. We'll put the link in the chat thread so that you can access it if you're not already a member. But it's been a little quiet in there, and that tells me you're selling, and that is fantastic. The other reason that I think you're selling is based on looking at your website numbers. Yeah, right? So I see somebody, Amy, chatting in, yes, getting busy again, right? I know, I can tell. With the end of April, starting May, so I'm going to get right into our first agenda item, which I typically do the website update. I am ecstatic to tell you that of the 60-ish builder websites that we're monitoring at Meredith Communications, I saw a solid 20-30% uptick in month-over-month website traffic. And that's on the conservative side. We had a lot of clients that did better than that, 40-50%. Then what's even more interesting is when I went year over year and looked at the same 30 days, 2020 over 2019, I saw anywhere from a 20 and in some cases 60-65% increase over the same time period, 2019. So the good news, the very good news, is that our home buyers are not discouraged yet with the state of the economy or the state of their job to the point that they've stopped looking. And I've emphasized this every week that if you aren't paying attention to your website numbers, month over month, week over week, year over year, you are missing key indicators of what your future sales looks like. In a regular non-COVID economy, today's website traffic, that will be your sales in about 45-60 days. So in a COVID economy, we're still compiling that. We're still measuring that. We're still talking to our online sales counselors that we work with to kind of figure out what does that timeline look like. And if any of you would want to share or chat in what kind of timelines you're seeing, that would be amazing. We would love to get that information from you. So here at Meredith Communications, we do builder marketing, and especially in the digital side. So we build websites and we do SEO, and we do social media and blogging and all the things for builders. And it's a pleasure to watch them flourish and watch this traffic happen. Okay, Cheryl's chatting in that web traffic exploded May 1st, and that is literally what I'm seeing. So I'm very excited because I will tell you, I've been around long enough that in 2008, this was not the case. In 2008, there wasn't any web traffic. There wasn't any pipeline. So we still have a pipeline. We still have people looking. And so how are we going to make sales happen? So that takes me into my next segment. Before I go too far into that segment, let me give you the agenda for today. So I'm going to continue my segment on B.O.L.D, sales and marketing. We did B last week. Today we're going to do O in the word B.O.L.D. Then I'm going to bring on Lisa Parrish, who is an expert in designing experiences. And I'll tell you more about her when I bring her on, but she and I are going to have a conversation about designing the new model home sales office experience. What is that going to look like? Now, some of the states have already reopened. Some of you really never closed. Others of you have been completely shut down for weeks. So we're all in different stages. So I think it's time we take a moment and pause and think about, how do we purposefully want to design an experience in person again that's going to make people feel comfortable. And then lastly, I'm going to bring the panel on, as I always do, Carrie, Matt, Angela, Lisa, and myself, and we're all going to answer one simple question, which is, what's the top number one thing we've learned? And it could be either professional or personal from this self-quarantine COVID disaster experience, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we're going today. I'm pretty excited about it, and I am so glad all of you are here with me. And yes, Audra, Lisa Parrish is just fantastic. You are right. And I'm so glad that she could take some time and be with us today. Okay, so here we go. So the O in bold. So if you remember, the B stands for breaking barriers. And so last week we talked about that it's important for you to know you have to make sales happen. This isn't something that we wait on and hope and pray that everybody comes back to our model or calls us or responds to our emails, that we have to be proactive, bold in making sales happen. So the B for breaking barriers really referred to barriers within your own organization, barriers for yourself, barriers where we had to learn virtual selling because we literally had a barrier where we could not be in person with anyone for several weeks there. So that was really the first letter. But then when I look at O, I'm calling that one overcoming obstacles, which sounds an awful lot like breaking barriers, except the difference is the barriers I'm referring to your internal processes, sales operation barriers. The overcoming obstacles, I'm referring to the home buyers' obstacles. I'm referring to the home buyers' objections. So what I'd like to do is have you go open up your chat there. If you're looking at your Zoom toolbar, right in the right next to participants, there is a chat feature button that you can click on. And I would love for you to type into the chat, what are the obstacles or the objections that you're either currently hearing or you expect to hear in terms of somebody buying a home right now? Okay, go. Let me see what you've got. What are some of the objections, the things that you're hearing that people might say, or that the concerns they might have? Okay, not knowing when they will go back to work. Perfect. Employment and can I qualify? Excellent. Will I have a job? Excellent. I have a house to sell. I don't know. Could I sell it for more if I sit on it? Am I going to lose money if I sell it now? The stock market is down. Yes. Yes. Oh, Kevin, I love this. Kevin from Outhouse typed in obstacles. Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off the goal. Henry Ford. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. A flood of homes will all be coming on the market. Will prices drop? So yes, you're getting it. Okay. So this is where I want to talk about all of these fears, all of these concerns that we know are in their minds. Now, I know what you want from me out of this segment. What you want from me is for me to give you a magic bullet, a silver bullet, a pill, a magic pill that will cut your hair, take 25 pounds of COVID-19 off, and solve all of these fears in your buyer's minds. Like if I know what you want me to give you a script of exactly what to say that will just solve all of this and make it go away. And guess what? That doesn't exist. That does not exist. You know why? Because these are human beings behind all of these objections and obstacles. Yes, you want me to give you the answers. Like this is a multiple choice test and I could just go B, C, D, question 1, B, question 2, C, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Pat, that's a great one. I'm afraid I won't get much for my existing home right now. Yes. So what do we hear when we hear an objection or an obstacle? Well, we hear fear, right? We hear fear. And as a salesperson or marketer, this applies to both of you, because if you're in marketing, you always want to create campaigns, incentives, promotions that help subliminally overcome some of these fears. And when you're in sales, you're working one-on-one, having verbal conversations to overcome these fears, right? So it works for both sides of the coin. And when we hear fear coming from someone, our natural inclination, what you want to do as a salesperson is what? Fix it. You want to fix it. Like I said, you're looking for that magic pill, that silver bullet. Guess what? Some of these fears can't be fixed. And that's really my first point for you. Instead of you trying to fix it, because when you're in a relationship with someone, could be romantic or could be your best friend or somebody, one of your family members, and you are venting to them, you're talking to them, do you always appreciate it when they try to fix it? Or do you sometimes need someone to listen and be caring? Yes. So while I'm not expecting you to, or advising that you just agree with the objection or you empathize with it whatsoever, don't go there. That's not what I'm saying. I do want you to approach it differently. Instead of approaching it with the attitude to fix it, overcome it, I want you to approach it with curiosity. I posted a link to a Harvard Business Review article in our Facebook group yesterday, our virtual builder town hall Facebook group. And I want you to read this article because this really is what spawned my whole idea for today. I didn't think of it. I read this article and I said, this is what our salespeople need to be doing. I want you to approach that objection with curiosity. I would advise that you say, tell me more about that, and shut up. Don't try to just have an answer. Don't try to just dismiss it, make it go away, pat it away like, oh, nobody just said that out loud, right? No. Yeah, I want you to be curious and I want you to ask questions about it. A lot of times when somebody has a fear or a concern, it is really driven from a much more human place than it is about that particular concern. That the property backs up to a railroad track, that's something we've had to overcome for years. Right? It's not really about that, right? It's always more about the lifestyle they're going to be there, when they're going to hear it, is it going to wake them up? There's more to it. So I want you to approach it with curiosity. Now, here's the thing I'll warn you about. This is going to feel uncomfortable because if we're curious about it, then a couple of things is going to have to happen. Number one, I think we fear the conversation going negative. So we try to avoid that. We try to avoid it. Whereas I'll be honest with you, my approach most of the time, if I'm dealing with a client and I'm sensing there's something off, there's something wrong, I try to get it out into the open in a gentle way. I mean, I don't want to fuel any fires here, but I want to pull that out and I want to take a look at it. So I just really say, number one, you might be avoiding being curious because you're afraid the conversation's going to go negative and you're not going to have the answers. And it's okay. It's okay if you don't have the answers. You don't have to have the answers. So don't avoid having somebody say, and saying, tell me more, and letting them start to really tell you what's going on with them. Another thing I think we avoid being curious or asking more in an effort to relate to someone, in an effort to let them know that you get it, you understand them, you're trying to build rapport, you're trying to build a relationship. A lot of times we can just take over the conversation and just start talking. Trying to reassure someone that oh yes, I feel the same way. That time I blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, you've talked for 10 minutes and they've stopped talking and basically shut down. So be careful that you're not shutting down these important conversations in an honest desire to relate, but you're basically taking it over and trying to fix it. And then lastly, I think we avoid being curious and saying, tell me more, because that makes us really think about our own fears of this whole thing. I mean, we really don't want to go there, right? We don't want to think about what if people completely stop buying homes, which they're not, but we don't want to think about that. We don't want to think about 10% unemployment. I mean, we're trying to be positive. We're trying to move forward, but you might be shutting somebody down that it would help if they just talked about what it is that their objection or their obstacle is. So I would love for you to embrace these conversations instead of avoid them. Now, what can you do? What are some positive things you can do if you're willing to embrace them, if you're willing to say, tell me more about that, and let the person expand on their concerns? Well, okay, let me give you some tips. Number one, know your numbers. Know your numbers. So if you happen to be fortunate enough to sell in a market like here in Raleigh, North Carolina, there is article after article after article literally published on a weekly basis about this place, amazing place, ranking top 10 places to live, 5 most growing places to work. I mean, we've got so much positive economic, quality of lifestyle. There's so much quantitative data about what a fabulous place this is to live, what a great center of employment this is. So what are your numbers? And maybe you don't live in a market like this one, but what quantitative data research could you have at your fingertips that you've memorized, that once the person's talked and you've given them room to explore this with you, you then lean in and say, well, I'll give you a couple of things to think about that might be helpful. And when we're done, I'll email you the article so you can read more about it. And so when we want to overcome fear, some of the best ways to do that is with data, analytics, quantitative numbers. All right. So hopefully you can put your creative thinking hat on and you can find some positive quantitative data that, you don't hammer it on anybody too hard, but you throw a couple bullet points out there and just say, and again, I'll just email you this to show, prices have actually increased in this area 5%, 10%, whatever in the last year, blah, blah. So know your data. What are your numbers? Bring them back in with that. 2 is have those resources ready. Do you have we call it a swipe file, like if it's on your phone, or a click file if it's on your computer, of positive articles, resources that talk about, for example, why this is not the same as 2008. That talks about, again, positive economic news in your market, positive reasons to live there, why it's a great lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera. Do you have a swipe file at your fingertips where you can just get some information out to someone for their review at their convenience? And then lastly, make sure that you are working in any positive news, testimonials, examples as you're talking. We call this seeding the talk. You seed the conversation with a quick backstory of the family that just closed last week in that community. And of course, you don't share any personal details or anything to the point where you violate privacy, but you might mention, we actually had 35 closings last month. That was incredible. We're so excited. This community is on pace for sales. Like, you work in positive things. Now, they must be true. Do not make this stuff up. If you make it up, they will know it. And if you do that, that's going to be a big problem. So those are my 3 quick tips is know your numbers. Again, nothing works against a kind of not irrational fear, but an emotional fear, like a quantitative number or data. 2, have resources ready. And 3, work in your positive testimonials, your case studies, your examples, anything that you can share. You seed the conversations with the positive. Well, as a matter of fact, I was just so excited and surprised. We were open last weekend, our model home, and we had 30 people through here, and that was amazing. Like, just work it in. Keep working it in. Let them know. It's called social proof. That's why McDonald's for years and years and years has had 5 billion served on their sign. It's called social proof. You give social proof that other people are moving forward, and it's okay for you to move forward too. And you can use any of these tips in your follow-up with your home buyers, in your voicemails, your emails, or in your conversations with them. So that is our O in overcoming obstacles, because we want to help make sales happen, and we want them to happen now, not 3 months from now when everything's all back to normal and we're all fine, right? Like, there's no time to waste. So we want to be proactive when we want to make that happen. Now, my last thing on this topic is just to say this to you, that when you are overcoming these obstacles and really letting people talk and being comfortable with them being uncomfortable, make sure the worst thing you could possibly do is come across insincere or inauthentic. That is the worst thing you could do, because this whole thing is about showing that you care, that you're listening, that you're paying attention, and that you're here for them if it's the right time for them, and we can overcome some of these obstacles. You are a competent, confident person they can move forward with. But the minute you come across insincere or, just going through the motions, maybe overly canned, just something that doesn't give me that authentic caring, it's going to be a problem. In our Facebook group later today or tomorrow, I will post a link to a sales rally talk I did several years ago on trust breakers. And I named 3 or 4 things that you can do in a conversation to accidentally come across as inauthentic when you meant the best possible thing. But there's just little things we do sometimes when we're having conversations that we don't even know we're doing it, and it sends up a red flag to people like, can I trust you? Okay, so I'll post that as a resource for you in our Facebook group. And I think between that and taking these steps on overcoming their obstacles, you are going to be all set. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next segment. I am going to bring on Lisa Parrish and ask her to start her video. There she is. Let me get you unmuted, Lisa. There we go. I think we did it.
Hey, Meredith, how are you?
Oh, we did it. Yay. Oh, man. So everybody, if you're not familiar, and I'm sure you are, but just in case, Lisa Parrish and her husband Shane and their team at Peter Mayer Productions produces many of the local, state, and national sales and marketing awards events all around the country all year long for our builder associations. And I've been an MC for you a couple times. I've been the chair one time of the nationals. So the premier event they do every year is about 1,000-person black tie, either sit down or buffet, depends on the year, awards gala that is held at the Builder Show, where we give out the very top awards. There could be as many as 1,300 entries in a year, Lisa?
1,358 last year.
Talk about someone who always knows her numbers. Lisa Parrish always knows her numbers. So 1,300 entries. And so the year that I chaired that particular event, I also got to be one of your judges. Right. It was a transformative experience. I am not overstating to spend, 4 or 5 days looking at 1,300 entries of best brochure, best website, marketing director of the year, rookie of the year, and just to be in awe of the people that enter these competitions. It's really, really incredible. And I learned a lot from participating and from working with you on these events. So when I was thinking about this topic, I thought, okay, we crash landed into virtual selling and we just all made the best of it we could. But we have a minute, we have a beat here to actually be more proactive and design the new model home sales office experience. So I started thinking, who do I know that designs experiences? And I thought Lisa Parrish, because when you walk in the Nationals Awards Gala, from the moment you come up the escalator, the experience begins, from the music to the smell to the visuals. Every detail of that evening you have purposely designed.
Correct.
So I thought, I am going to ask Lisa if she would, talk to us about this, and what should we keep in mind? Where's a good place for people to start in terms of designing the new experience once we're in person with people? What advice do you have?
Well, thanks for having me, Meredith, and thanks for the introduction, because that really sets the stage. Going back, not only do we produce the events, but we actually put on and administer and manage the judging. So Shannon and myself spend almost most of the year in a van driving around touring product as well with the judges. So our normal environment is a sales office or a model complex. As a matter of fact, I did a little math last night, knowing my numbers. We see between 30 and 45 new communities every year, and we walk probably anywhere between 400 and 500 model homes. So our natural environment, and where I want to go to first after I get my hair done, is to go walk new homes. So I can't wait to get back and see what's out there, because there is a abundance of new home product and communities that I need to see what is out there. But going back to your question, I think you completely hit it right with what you led in with this morning, which is the talk of creating confidence, creating that courage and that desire for someone to return. And we're going to have to remember that people are going to come in with a lot of emotion. There's lots of emotion that's out there, and some people are going to be at different stages of emotion each day as they visit. They're also going to have different attitudes, as we see in the chat. Some people are like, I'm ready to go, let's do it. And some people are a little more nervous. So you're going to have to take everybody's temperature, and they're not all going to be 100%. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying about, how you plan the experience at coming to the nationals and so forth. You have to really think about everyone. When we talk about the awards program, 50% of the people walking in the door are there to accept an award or because they're nominated. But the other 50% of the audience is someone's guest. And so our goal is to make sure that they are entertained, that they are comfortable, and that they're having a lovely event as well, because they're there for the ride. So that's kind of the way we approach it. But I think returning back to normalcy, for our sales experience, we're going to have to take some cues from our great retail partners, Starbucks, Apple, and possibly what Disney is going to come out with, because they're going to really set the standard for all of us. What we're going to have to try to do is avoid shocking the system for people who are coming out and feeling very uncomfortable about returning to the world. And so this morning, the CEO of Starbucks talked about it today. They said, really, Starbucks is the third place. We have home, we have office, and we have Starbucks. And so they are really being considerate about how they're going to create that sense of comfort and confidence, but yet letting that person feel like they really want to spend time there.
And let me, I'll share with the audience that 2 Sundays ago, I went to a different grocery than I'd been going to. And it's a grocery chain that I highly regard typically has amazing customer experience, wonderful, but I have to tell you, the experience freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got there and they kind of pounced on me from the moment I got in the door. And then they had extensive signage everywhere about COVID and this and that. And I'm kind of like looking at all this signage. They had done the one-way aisles. And I'm not saying these things aren't important or necessary, but I accidentally went down the wrong way on one of the aisles and somebody made me turn around, right? And the whole environment was it felt like high alert. Mm-hmm. And I had on a mask. I'm not used to wearing a mask. And all of this, honestly, it gave me a lot of anxiety. And it kind of freaked me out. Whereas the grocery I had been going to, they were still doing all of these same things, but somehow in a more relaxed manner or something where it was fine. So this is part of why I wanted to talk to you was everybody think when we start doing this, you're going to have people that literally have been nowhere for however long. They're very uncomfortable. You're going to have people that are like, oh, something's going on in the world I hadn't noticed.
Sure. For sure.
So how do we kind of strike a balance, do you think, of being aware and design an experience for all these different comfort levels?
You know, as we were talking about, I was thinking about, you have to think about it. What if you're welcoming somebody into your own home? How would you have them walk into your own house?
Yes.
I mean, really, isn't that what we're trying to do? Is we're showcasing what the dream is and the opportunity?
Yes.
So I think that's the place to start. You're right. I mean, you felt more comfortable in your space. You felt confident when you knew what to do. We all know what to do. It's all over the news. It's not like it's not like we don't know this. So I don't know that we have to be, we don't have to crash land into shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where I want you all to find a comfort level of your model seems prepared. So maybe at your front door, either outside or just inside, you've got a complimentary face mask if someone wants to pick one up, or it would be ideal if everybody had the hand sanitizing stations, but that may be a little bit hard to get a hold of at the moment. But just little things like this that you offer that are there if someone chooses to use it. But if they don't, then you adapt and adjust to it. Now, obviously, Lisa and I do not want to give you or do not intend to give you legal advice. Please hear me when I tell you that you have to comply with whatever regulations are required in your local city, state, town, state, whatever municipality applies to you. And you need to be familiar with what those are, and you need to comply with them. But within that gray area, that's what we're trying to figure out here. Now, Lisa, when we were talking the other day preparing for this, you were telling me about some unique things that a couple of builders are doing to encourage people to come out and engage. And I think there was like a drive-by parade or something.
Yeah. So Toll Brothers in Phoenix, they have a brand new community. They were just about to open. They have 15 model homes, a brand new amenity, and a golf course. And so they were, primed to go into selling season. And now obviously that got disrupted. So now what they've come to put into play is they do a parade, and the potential homeowners can drive through and see the models, see the beautiful model complex. They can, there is a sales counselor who will hand them information through their window of the brochure or any other information they may need. And then they can set an appointment over the weekend. And so they are able to kind of have that soft touch and then set that appointment. And they have been so successful that they actually are now managing the amount of sales appointments that they have. And there's an abundance. So there's no lack of desire. There's no lack of want. Matter of fact, if you think about it, in some way, a new home community, a model complex, is like going to Disneyland. You want to go and see what your life could be like. And so I think we need to keep that mysticism and that lovely experience and that pixie dust as much as possible. And obviously while being safe.
Yeah, that's right. What role do you think the salesperson's demeanor plays in this experience, in designing an experience, in terms of being that calm, confident, making it feel like a safe space without making you feel like I got pounced on at the grocery and it made me more nervous and more anxious? What role do you think that plays?
Absolutely. So the term counselor is going to be even more important now, because not only are we there to guide them through the sales process, we're also there to provide them with that, that solace, that confidence, that shoulder, because you're going to handhold them. You're in many, many ways, because it's not only just the process of buying the home. And yeah, you're going to need to there's going to need to be a smile on your voice. There's going to need to be, as Meredith talked about, you're going to need to have all your details so that you can make them feel like this is the best choice for them to move forward. And that's going to be even more important now going forward.
And what I find, you guys, is that all that begins from within you. My mom, who was retired now, but she was a teacher, and then she went on to teach teachers how to teach for many years, always said in her teacher training classes, you can't give away what you don't have. Yes. And what she was reminding teachers to do was to fill themselves up, to take care of yourself. And I'll tell you, I've stepped up my reading. I've stepped up my podcast, my motivational. I'm a person of faith. I've stepped up my praise music. Like I whatever works for you. I'm not pushing anything on anybody, but whatever helps fill you up so that you can be calm and confident, that you need to be doing actively. So that's when we talked about breaking barriers last week. That is within yourself. You break barriers so that you can then overcome obstacles with others. And to Lisa's point, you can't be calm and confident, or at least fake it till you make it, right, if you aren't trying to fill yourself up on the inside. Of course, you're going to have doubts. You're going to have fears. I wasn't even sure I could get all this together for today. It was not working. I mean, it's, we all have our moments of being very human, but overall, when we turn on and push broadcast, we go to work, right, Lisa?
That's right. That's right. You gotta go. You gotta, and you know what? You're right. I think now being authentic and serving is got to be the whole point. That right there is going to keep you successful, because they're going to really read it, because their emotions are very high.
Yes, they are. And they're going to take their cues from you. So if you're having doubts about if this is a good time to buy or what our price is going to do, if you're having some of those doubts, then talk with one of your coworkers, talk to your sales manager, talk to your sales coach, work yourself through those and resolve them to the best that you can. I know there are a lot of unknowns. And again, we're not going to promise anybody anything that we can't guarantee. And so that's why I say a lot of these things, it's not that we can fix them. It's just we can explore them with them. We can be that sounding board, that trusted partner. We can provide them with some data to try to reassure where it makes sense. And then when it is the right time for them, we are here and they will think of us.
That's right.
Lisa, I'm kind of curious, having been behind the scenes with you at some of these amazing awards gala shows that you've put on, when I think about kind of like what it looked like 15 minutes before doors open.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of chaos, even though you guys are super organized. I mean, stuff happens, but then somehow you are always very calm. Like when the doors open and everybody comes in and you've got all these attendees, how do you go about kind of getting your game face on for showtime?
That goes back to being prepared. You do need to have a show flow. You do need to have preparation. You do need to rehearse. You do need to have everything ready. And yes, do that 15 minutes beforehand when everybody's running around and putting the final touches on all the last minute pieces. That's what we call, That's just that last fine tuning. But to be honest, it's ready to go. And when you have that confidence that you can execute on what you have practiced and what you've prepared for and what you have planned, then you just go do it. You go walk the walk. And I think that's the other thing that we all have to put into play now as well, is we're going to have to be really prepared.
Yeah. So that gets back to knowing your facts and your data, and knowing your community inside and out, and knowing that your competitor is what they're doing, knowing your comps and what people are selling around you. All of that comes into play. And if you have that knowledge, you've put that time in, you will be ready to open the door. Mm-hmm. So what have I not asked you about designing an experience that you wanted to share? Because I know when we prepped, we talked. We had the most fun conversation preparing for this. So I'm sure I've forgotten something. So what is something that you wanted to talk about?
Some of the things that I've just been witnessing, because I've been watching what you guys have been doing, the virtual town halls, and again, everybody's home and we're all digesting a lot of information. And that's the thing that we all have to remember about the people who are now going to be walking in the door of our sales offices. They have a lot more knowledge than they even had before. And they had a lot of knowledge. Like you said it off. They're online. They're taking virtual tours. They are digesting so much content and so much information that when they walk in the door, you better be able to answer the call. And also, because more than likely they've been set up by an OSC, you're going to know more about them. And so that relationship, that handoff really now needs to be executed in the highest fashion, so that then when you walk in the door, you're like, hey, Mike and Susie, I know you have 3 kids. I know you're going to move in 30 days. I know you're interested in Plan 3, and I want to go show it to you. So realistically, you really have to be ready for that. The other thing, a couple things that I've seen that I think are really fun of note is Summerlin. They went to all the builders in Summerlin, and they asked them to think of doing a little bit of adjustment to their model homes. They actually went in and put in home offices and showed them how people could now work from home in some of the standing inventory, or actually in the model homes as well. So I think that there's an adaptability to some of the way that we're selling. So there's all kinds of awesome ideas that are going to come from the evolution of what we're going to see the world taking place. Mm-hmm. So, the adoption of home offices, gyms, flex spaces, Zoom rooms, that type of thing in our interior merchandising is going to be exciting in the next, 30, 60, 90, 120 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And speaking of that, that reminded me to tell everybody that next Tuesday, we are going to have architect extraordinaire, floor plan designer, Darrell Patterson on with me, who's been doing some private coaching for a couple of builders out there, but hasn't done it really publicly yet. So she's going to be with us on the Builder Town Hall on selling from floor plans, selling virtually from plans, and how you do that, how you read them, how you explain them, how you make them sizzle when you're not standing in a model. And then also talking about what you said, Lisa, which is some of these new spaces that maybe we need to refresh models for or consider when we're looking at our models and our floor plans for kind of the new normal.
The new solutions to the new normal, right? It's showing the livability.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So questions, I'm bringing on the panel right now. I got to get them unmuted, unmuted. Here we go. Questions, anybody about questions about designing the experience in person? If you've got anything, go ahead and get it in the chat. Hold on. Carrie, you're still, there we go. Hi guys, how are you? Hey, welcome. Hi, I know, we're back at this again. So, I know, how are we making this even happen? I don't know. Matt, you are all over the place today. Matt, how many webinars have you done today?
Today, just 2 today.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad, right?
Yeah, actual webinars too. Zoom calls like 47.
Yeah, 47, 4,000. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted the panel to share with you guys today. I had a question for them, and Angela, I'm going to have you lead, and a podcast, Matt. Don't forget, you did it. Your boss is telling you did.
Oh yeah, I did. We did a podcast recording today as well. I forgot all about that.
Angela, I'll let you lead off. What is something you've learned through this quarantine COVID-19 experience? Share with us something that you've learned.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I have to say, Lisa, smile in your voice. Like, that is my language. I love that line, and I encourage everybody to think about that. One of the things, we know deep down that routine is super important. And this whole situation has disrupted our day-to-day routine. And when disruption happens, we become less productive, we don't think rationally. And I knew right out of the gate that I needed to figure out a way to develop some positive routines. And I also realized early on that if I didn't change anything, my level of cortisol would be out of control. So cortisol is your body's alarm system. Mm-hmm. It's a stress hormone. It affects your mood, your emotions, your well-being, and your productivity. As luck would have it, I joined a 75-day challenge at the beginning of March. I call it my cortisol manager. And the challenge promotes physical and mental wellness. And I'm not going to lie, it's been hard. And there have been days where I have literally cried and said, no more. But I've persevered. And during a time when things were unpredictable and crazy, I found some comfort in routines. And truth be told, habits are forming. And I've had to create my own certainty during these times of uncertainty. So it's been good for mental well-being, my physical well-being, and really my overall ability to manage my life. And my family is appreciative. And I'm fairly sure my colleagues, and I think there may be a couple on right now, are as well. I'm not sure I would have appreciated this challenge as much as I have now. But it's been life-changing. And I would have done this regardless of the situation, but I'm convinced I've grown way more and have created lifelong habits as a result. And the ancillary advantage, and I say this as it truly is ancillary, is my pants still fit.
Great job.
I do not have that issue.
Well
I
done.
do not have that at all.
So
My pants do not fit.
I'm not done yet. I'm on day 50 something or other, I think, or 60 something. I've lost count, actually, to be honest. It's been it's routine. And that's what's the cool part of it.
Yeah. Cool. Matt, how about you? What have you learned from all this?
So I think on a more, I guess, both personal and professional, has really been how important it is to be nimble. I refuse to use the word pivot because I think A, that's overdone. And two, I can't say the word pivot and not think of the episode of Friends with Ross and the couch, pivot, if you guys are all Friends fans. So
that was my training this week.
pivot the couch, right? But it really is unbelievably important, impactful, and especially in where we are. And I think that the mistake that some people could make is once we start to get through the end, that they feel that I'm scared that people are going to go fall back into complacency of, I don't need to stay on the balls of my feet, right? And so I don't need to be able to stay nimble. It's going to go back to the way that it was. And the reality is it's not. It's forever changed. And so being nimble and consistently being able to try new things. And I forgot about the podcast we recorded today, but it was all about, the payoffs of early adoption or adopting early technology early on. But when it comes down to it, none of the technology stuff could actually be implemented without the right people in place and the right accountability and being able to stay nimble to just be able to chalk things up to, we're going to try 10 new things, probably 8 or 9 of them aren't going to work. Mm-hmm. And being okay with, instead of just being buried in with, well, this is what we use because we've already invested in this particular technology or this particular thing, recognizing that that's a sunk cost and what the opportunity costs are for not being nimble and being able to switch, whether that's processes, people, technology, no matter what it is. Being nimble and being able to try new things has really been, to me, the big lesson at the end of the day, because we get a free pass this time around as an industry, and we won't get that same pass the next time around.
Well, we didn't get it last time.
No, we didn't get a pass at all last time.
Last time we paid maybe the highest price of any industry for last time. And so, I mean, karma, I think this time maybe he's going to give us a break. Jury's out, right? We don't know.
Yeah. Right.
But like I said, the blessing is, and I know you looked at website data too this week. But
yep.
Sidebar for 1 second, guys. Sorry. When you looked at your website data that you guys track at Group 2, what were some of the numbers you were seeing?
Yeah. So steady. I mean, very similar to what you were saying, Meredith. Steady week over week growth, back to pre-COVID levels of website activity, and really big consumer uptick confidence, and resulting actually from walk-in traffic in states that are back open. We've seen in Dallas, actually, everything, it's all the wild west in Texas. But like actually seeing walk-in traffic levels back to pre-COVID levels.
Yes. Wow. Our Dallas clients, same. So, I brought that up because of the comment he made just a minute ago about just kind of, maybe we're going to dodge the bullet this time, but that doesn't mean that nimble, quick to adapt isn't still really important. Yeah. So, yeah.
We have to have the ability right now to be able to bounce back and forth, right? We're going to go from, stage 1, 2, or 3, maybe from 1 to 2, 2 to 1 to 3 to 1. Like, we have to have the ability to jump around and move quickly when doing that. I mean, because when we've seen that, and I'm sure you've seen it too, when we've been able to make those changes quickly, even when this first happened, going through and making changes to virtual appointments available, as simple as that is, seeing a 200 to 300% increase in clicks.
And Lisa, don't you think that those virtual appointments and virtual selling is going to be around? Like, that's not going anywhere, right?
That's normal. That is 100% going to be our process from now on. If people think that it's not, they're mistaken. And you better just embrace it and get ready, because this is the new normal. It's not even new normal. This is the way we do things now.
This is the reality of it, right? All right, Carrie, how about you? What do you think's been your biggest learning, takeaway, opportunity from all this? Yeah.
It's interesting. When I thought about that, I thought about me, and I thought about us and the things that we've talked about. And what I really find has been super, super cool is the fact that people are finding things within themselves in terms of creativity that I don't know without these times. I'm really serious right now. For just like a second, everyone's like, "You're serious?" But I really mean that I've had so many people for so many years say, "I can't do that. I'm not good at that." Mm-hmm. And they've gotten by with something else, right? Mm-hmm. And we spent this period before you're talking about the numbers that you are now, that it was kind of scary that I need to get good at it. So I've been seeing people do bomb videos and pull within them and send me emails like, "Is this a dumb idea, Carrie?" And I'm like, there aren't any dumb ideas. Mm-hmm. So what really I saw happen is, I thought a million years ago, why did we ever call it sales and marketing, right? Because what we have learned, it is absolutely marketing and sales. Because everybody got on the marketing terms, to get the virtual appointments. I mean, everything went marketing. It was kind of like market to them and they will come. Mm-hmm. So we will never be sales and marketing again. we will be a marketing and sales arena. And as I was putting this together and thinking about this thought, I have to share this because I flipped some music on and Luke Bryan's song came on that said, most people are good. And I got to tell you, that's what I've learned. Most people are good. Kids still ought to be kids. We should forgive and make amends. You should work hard. And most mamas ought to win sainthood. And that is what I have learned, because I look at my grandchildren and we, in creativity, I have mad scientists now. I have chefs. I have gardeners. They've exploded stuff in that house that no one should think was cute and I thought was adorable. So that creative genius that was going to stay somewhere deep and for so many people was not going to come out, this brought that out.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. Lisa, how about you? What's been your biggest learning from this experience?
I don't know if it's learning or if it's a way of getting through it. I think attitude is very important. And every day your attitude changes slightly, but your energy is also infectious. And so what you can bring to someone and how you can help them when they're having a down day. And it's okay to have down days. It's okay to say to somebody, today I'm a 3 and I need you to help me get back to a 5. Or today I'm an 8. Do you need some help? That's going to be something that we're all going to need to kind of help each other and bolster each other up with. Because we all are going through it right now.
Yeah, it's true. And I think for me, I mean, there's so many, I could fill a legal pad with the things that I've learned. I would say that it's been interesting to me that we're so disconnected in the sense that we can't get together and see each other in person, but it forced us to try harder to be connected and to, like, I don't know, actually call someone or start a text chain, or I'm having more conversations now because I have to make an effort to have them. I'm not just assuming they're going to happen. And it's really amazing. And you're right, Lisa, about the attitude being infectious. So this gets back to designing the experience, folks. This is important. Again, back to you find your calm, you find your confidence. And if you have to fake it till you make it, and that's okay some days, project that, because that energy level is what they're going to pick up on, that will either feed their fears and anxieties or will feel calming and reassuring to them. Carrie, do you want to jump in with some, we were talking pre-show while we were waiting on everybody to get in, just some things kind of when people are first coming into the model home that you would recommend or not recommend. Again, we're not giving you legal advice. Talk to your own lawyer, please. Okay, Carrie.
Lisa and I were in a great conversation, and it was about, we've done so many things this way for so long that we were good at that, so it was second nature. So now when you take Lisa's point is, how do you have a good experience and how is it showtime? It's if you're prepared, right? Well, I promise you that the meet and greet that used to be when the door opened in the foyer is not going to be the same anymore. Because of, to your point, everything that everybody brought in, you've got to find a ground of neutral. And it's not a ground of needs analysis and discovery. At that point, it's the ground and not what brought you in today, your car. It's about what brought you in today, who is the person that's here today. So I have salespeople right now that are, lots of them are asking, how do we talk about this safety? And to your point, don't make a really big deal about it because everybody already saw it on the news. So we're just kind of working with casual conversation, but bringing the elephant out in the room. Walking up to someone and saying, with your distance, hey, you can see I don't have my mask on today because I feel confident in what I've done, what the builder's done, what our model has been prepared for you, that I'm comfortable. However, if you're not, I will wear one. And if you would like to put one, please feel free to do that, because my goal today is that you're comfortable when we begin.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got all
Nice.
planned presentations. We just need to prepare them again.
Yeah. And that's why today's emphasis was on the word design. I want you to think this through ahead of time, prepare yourself, right, Lisa, for showtime,
Yeah, that's right.
and try something out. Now, it may not work. You may not feel comfortable. They may give you a weird look. They may have deer in headlights and you think, I don't want to phrase it that way the next time. But you go in with a plan, try something. And again, I want you to try to strike the balance of we're paying attention, we're safe, we are compliant, but we are not overly hyping, talking, making it feel like the world's about to end because we're overly concerned with it.
Right.
Somewhere in the middle is where the magic is.
That is.
And each one of you will have to find that on your own, and we know that you can. So before we say our thank yous and wrap up, Lisa, do we have any exciting news to share that might have happened during the hour that you've been on this show?
I have no news yet, but as soon as I do, please check my Facebook. Something very important is happening within my family today, and I'm very excited about it. So we've been waiting.
It was
So
amazing.
not yet.
It was amazing that she was able to join us today because she has big family happy news happening today, and we were waiting to see if there was any updates, but we will sit tight, and we are so happy for you and your family. You are blessed indeed. And again, I'm always better for being around you and learning from you. And I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us today, as well as Matt, Angela, Carrie, the whole team at Group 2. Molly was in today. That was awesome. Thank you for your support. We love having you guys here. We didn't have as many folks today, and that tells me you're selling. And that is a great reason for you not to be here if you're not going to be here.
That's right.
So go get them, guys. We'll keep on another week or two, and then we'll start backing down frequency as you guys are getting busier and busier, and that's okay too. Okay? All right. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Happy selling.
Bye.